Good morning and welcome to Career Launch Live. Happy freaking Friday. I hope that you're all as happy that it's Friday as I am. I have had a great week in Las Vegas at HR Tech. You might have seen my post about a wonderful company that I ran into and some really ethical things that they did. But today we're going to talk about what is wrong with people. And we're going to tell some very hilarious funny stories from our HR lives and talk about, how we fix them and what should have been done and things like that. And without further ado, I'd love to bring on my guest for this because she is hilarious and always brightens my day. And I know she'll brighten yours. Let's welcome Miss Sabrina. Hi.
Hey, Kat. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. So first of all, I do want to draw attention. We were talking about this before the show. We almost kind of match a little bit today, and I'm very excited about that. Unintentionally. So tell us a little bit. So I think most people that watch the show know that I've been in HR and in the consulting space for a long time on the talent acquisition side. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I have nearly 20 years in HR experience, predominantly in California. So I kind of lived a crazy life out there in a bunch of different industries. I've been doing consulting now for just over 2 years, and I am finding it to be not quite as crazy, but definitely interesting. There's a whole other world of situations and problems that crop up in consulting than in internal HR.
It's true because you kind of get to see everybody's stuff, and you just see this whole other world of insanity.
100%.
Oh, and we have people saying hello to you this morning.
Hi, everyone.
So I when I thought about this topic, you were one of the first, there were two humans that immediately popped in my mind, and you were one of them because I love how you tell stories. So I'm going to let you kick this off. What's one of your stories about just one of the craziest things that you saw where you were just thinking, what is wrong with this human?
Oh God, there's so many, which is scary enough as it is. I think probably the one that comes to mind, first and foremost, is someone coming to work rather inappropriately dressed.
I need details. What was the outfit?
So looked like Hollywood nightclub.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was not spaghetti straps, but sort of thin strap top, fairly deeply low cut, short, over the knee socks, over the knee boots with heels, all black. And I was just
fun outfit, but maybe not for work.
I'm it's 9:30 in the morning. Where do you think you're going?
Maybe, you know what I think happened? I think she was coming from somewhere was what happened.
And it was right. You could be right, but then you take the day off.
Yes. You just go, you know what? Today is not the day. This is not it.
Yeah, today is not the day. That was one of those, it was so early in the morning, and I was like, I can't deal with this today. This is how you're
why?
My day off.
And Tara agrees. She's saying, yeah, she definitely went out somewhere last night. Yeah. Agreed. 100%. That girl had been partying, and good for her. But yeah, don't come rolling into work like that. Okay, so how did you address it?
So I took her aside, gently, and was like, while I appreciate your outfit, you look great. You look phenomenal. You might want to go home and change because it's just not appropriate for office. And especially because the company was in that particular office we were in, it was 85-90% male, and it was just
maybe not the best. So how did she respond? I'm very curious. How did she respond?
Not well. Not really. But I think largely because she almost felt attacked by like another female, right? Like, why are you criticizing me? Like, shouldn't you have my back? And it's like, but your boobs are showing. Like, oh, I can't hear you, Catherine.
Oh, sorry. Was I on mute?
You were on
Yep,
mute. Yep.
I was on mute. I muted myself. So, you know, okay. So here's what gets me is there's this weird misconception in the world that because you're a woman, that no matter what another woman does, you should never say anything.
Right.
No. Now, women should have each other's backs in general, right? In fact, we should have other humans' backs. Let's just put it that way. We should have other humans' backs.
Yep.
But you don't get away with things just because we have the same private parts. That's not, or what they call private parts. That's not the same thing. Like, that's not, and if you're not dressed appropriately for work, and I believe in a lot of leeway, right? I don't really like dress codes. But I've had to deal with somebody. I had a lady one time that would come into work dressed in a jogging suit that had bleach stains on it. Like, we're like, she obviously accidentally bleached it. Yeah. And then she would unzip it and boobs out. And I'm like, and we were in a fancy office building. I want to point that out. Like, this was not like remote. Like, this was a fancy office building. And she came in flip-flops at this outfit. And I'm going, what? I was like, no, ma'am. Like, you just have to stop and go, what possessed you when you woke up this morning to put this on to come to work?
Honestly, right? Like, and again, like you, I'm not a huge believer of dress codes. There's obviously a certain level. If you have a board members like coming in for a board meeting, you don't want to be wearing jeans with holes in them and stained shirts, right? Like, just put a little bit of professionalism on it. But if you're not a public facing business, I don't have a lot of, issues. But the reality is I heard the men in the office talking about breasts.
Right.
I heard them talking about her thighs.
Which they shouldn't have done also. I want to address that.
Done, and that was addressed separately from the conversation that had.
I was sure. I was sure, knowing you. Yes.
There's a whole level. That's what I mean. Like, this is how you started my day.
Like, why would you do this to me? I've done nothing to you.
Right. And this was somebody that I did occasionally go out with in the evening. Would meet her out in the city for drinks with friends. So I totally got it. But yeah, it was one of those days that was just like, wow, we started off with appropriate clothing discussions and had further discussions about respecting people's bodies and not talking about that.
Yes. Yeah. And all because somebody just came to work completely inappropriately. Like, why? Why would that ever be the thing? So then I also had a situation one time. This was one of my all-time favorites because this was, again, first thing in the morning that I was told. And so I want you to think about, when I tell this story, that this was also very early, not first thing, but it was the morning. So I get a call from a client and they said, the first they text me and say, I need to talk to you ASAP. I said, okay. So I pick up the phone immediately and I pause what I was doing, pick up the phone, I call them and they go, what do you do when somebody does a drug deal in the middle of the sales floor? And I kind of pause this. Okay, are you talking about, like, are they talking about going and getting drugs? Like, what specifically are you saying to me? And he said, oh, no, like, the drug dealer came in, handed the drugs in front of everyone, and the employee gave them money, and then the person left. And at first I said, why?
Why?
You know what? That should have been the end of it, was just why. But I said, why are you calling me? Like, why are they not already gone? And they go, well, this is one of my better people. Do I have to fire them? Yes. Immediately, Immediately, yes.
Immediately.
Like right now, not in the future, like right now.
Do not pass
And
go. Do not collect $200.
yeah,
Fire them right now.
yes. She said, Tara says, I mean, traditional healthcare is expensive. Look, Tara, if it had been pot, maybe I would side with you, but this was not pot. This was a very white, powdery substance, just so that we're clear. I know that they used to use that to treat certain conditions, but I don't feel like we've proven that that's not really the best treatment. so when I told him, I said, okay, so first of all, immediately walk them out, very publicly walk them out. This was done publicly. Go over with the box, have them put it in and go. I said on the back end, because literally everyone saw this. Right. I said, okay, so we're going to, and then we'll get statements afterwards. We'll collect all the things. The other thing I told them to do was have them sign a letter, and we put it under the guise of, basically, yeah, you're just agreeing you're not taking any company equipment, you don't have any back, but we put the reason for termination, and the person signed it. So that then when they came back and tried to file unemployment, we went, nope. And here's why.
Yep. Terminated for drug deal.
Yeah, what were you thinking? Like literally in front, like you didn't even like go outside to go get, why wouldn't you just go outside and go get it? Like what? And I did also have to tell them, make sure the drugs are no longer on the property.
Yes.
Because we didn't know where they were at that point. We didn't know, like, were they in a purse? Were they in a desk?
Yep.
Where were they? Oh, somebody asked, can we talk about how to take control with mood swings? So I have a story for that. Do you have a story about dealing with somebody who has mood swings?
I do.
Okay.
I want to hear yours first.
Okay. So I had actually, you know what? It was the bleach pants girl. She's going to have a few stories told about her today. She was so extra. And had I been in the position, she'd have been terminated so quickly. But I was not my role at that particular company. So she came in and she always was having, like, it would be up and down and up and down. I did know there were some mental health things, so we were very cautious for that and very compassionate, because some things you can't help, right? And that's okay. But she also would do things that were just above and beyond. And when it finally, and she would do things like be real giddy one minute, then very down and very rude to people. And we were kind of working with her through that. Where we had to stop it was that we all went out to lunch one day, and for literally no reason, and I know this because I was sitting directly across from them when this happened, she reached over and slapped another employee in the face. All he did was answer a question that she asked, and she reached across and slapped him in the face. And I said, okay, no.
That's not okay.
That's not the thing that we're going to be doing here. So I did want to say, like, you want to coach people for it again. That was like, what is wrong with you? You're at a work lunch. All this person did was literally answer her question about something completely benign. And he kind of made like a funny little joke, but it was nothing that could even possibly be construed as offensive or rude or anything like that. Slapped. Like, why was that the response? What the hell? And so I want to say, so with mood swings, number one, be very careful that it's not a mental health concern, things like that. And who cares if a person's mood changes? Are they getting the work done? Are they able to work with others effectively? As long as they're not being rude to other people, hindering the process, you need to be very careful how you handle that. So Sabrina, I'll let you take it from here.
So it's funny, my story is actually really similar to yours. It was someone with some mental health issues that was often vacillating between giddy and down based upon mood changes. But the difference in for my story is that this person would blurt out inappropriate things when they were in that giddy sort of frame of mind.
Was it like a Tourette's thing? No, okay.
No.
Okay. I gotcha.
No,
I got you.
It would be like very like elevated. Their responses would be
got
elevated,
you,
and would just say things that were just blurted out, inappropriate people would laugh because, I'm not gonna lie, they were often very funny, but not okay for work. And so there was definitely some discussions and some coaching and back and forth to talk about it. And one of my stances on a lot of that is, I don't care if you do it outside of the four walls of the business on your personal time, right?
No, do whatever you want.
Right? Even lunchtime, right? Because there would be people that would start to have particularly elevated by this person's comments, it would often quickly devolve into more of those comments from the peanut gallery. And I would have to be like, hey, everyone, let's take it outside. Like, if you want to have these conversations and you feel comfortable having these conversations with these people, that's fine. But you can't do it inside my four walls.
Right.
I have to take them outside my four walls and off my company time, because that's not okay in the office. It's not okay in the business space. So you never know who you're going to offend or upset. And they have every right to not have that happen to them at work. And it was not easy. It was a very long span of time. And this person did later on down the road, actually, the personality evened out a lot more. And they were honest with me that they had finally found a medication grouping
That's good.
that worked for them, that helped them not have that sort of inappropriate blurting.
Right.
Also, they ended up with a lot better work relationships, because people weren't always on edge as to whether or not this person would start saying something that was going to make them uncomfortable.
Yes. And, and that's kind of what you kind of, I know that the mood swings thing can be hard, but also have compassion for that person, because a lot of times it's things that they can't help. It's something that really stresses them out. And Stacy just commented about the racist origins of some of that. It's, you have to be careful too. There's the angry Black woman thing that comes out a lot, which is not a real thing. And I think a friend of mine a long time ago, who is a Black woman, once told me, she said, I think it's the same thing that you get, where people always think that I'm too loud or too angry or too aggressive. They're like, my voice carries and I'm very, I gesture a lot, things like that. So I think she's like, maybe it's something like that. Like, it's just a different way that we communicate, and maybe that's what causes it. But we were always just kind of baffled, but do remember to be very careful dealing with things because there's mental health, there's racial issues, there's gender issues. Please be very, very careful with that. Also, that can tie into LGBTQ, because some people are like, oh, gay guy, he's just moody or something. I've heard that. You got to be real careful with that. And I did want to share. So Jason posted a story. He said, fastest termination was when I had an employee looking at porn. I had to go verify it with HR and IT and so on and so forth. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've had that. I had somebody where people kept walking by his desk and there was very graphic midget and bondage. Or I'm a small person, I should say, but it was called midget. That was the actual name of the video. So I want to clarify, I'm not calling this people. That was actually what was the name of the video or the search, or however you want to say it. It was insane. And it was his desk was visible to other people. He wasn't even in an office. Like, what? Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have also had a situation where we found porn on an employee's laptop, and it was after the employee quit, so we didn't actually have to deal with it.
Oh, well, that's okay. Well, that's kind of convenient, though. That works.
It was convenient. Although the IT person put a biohazard sticker on the laptop.
Okay, that's hilarious. That's a creative solution. I like it. Now, what about booger picking? I've got one for you.
I don't think I've ever had that.
This is an all-time favorite of mine.
Oh, no.
Getting a call about a person who was picking their nose and then wiping it on things about the workspace. This was an adult. I want to point this out. This was an adult.
Yeah.
No known mental health issues. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but no known mental health issues. The kind of the first thing in my head was like, has this been an ongoing issue, or are they maybe like having a stroke, the weird stroke or something? Like, it's not like, I know it's not a normal stroke system, like, but in other words, like, is there something maybe that's suddenly happened, like a weird TBI, like they bumped their head? Do we need to look out for something? They said, okay, let's ask. So then I get the call back. No, it wasn't like they didn't bump their head. They said they didn't bump their head or anything like that. I said, okay, so this is a health hazard. So that's how we're going to treat this, because you don't want to, in my experience, it doesn't go well to start with you're gross and you're disgusting and you need to act like an adult. You have to make it about something professional, right? So you have to go, oh my gosh, real quick. Tara said on the porn thing that her employee claimed it was for his pain management.
Still
I mean, that's creative. I want to just throw that out there. That's creative. You know what?
Maybe valid. Still not at work.
No, still not at work. I can't think pain. Well, actually, no, I see where they're okay. Yeah, maybe valid, but still not at work. Right. If that's an accommodation that you need, work from home. So that'd be a great accommodation request. Best accommodation request ever. So anyway, back to Booger Guy. So, so I called him in and I was like, okay, so, I've been told that this is happening. First of all, do you have any statements? And I did confirm with other people, by the way, that this was indeed happening. And he goes, well, sometimes, there's just stuff in there and I've got to get it out. I said, okay. I said, did they not have Kleenex in your area? I said, and I like, that's just legitimately what came out of my mouth. And he goes, well, yeah. He goes, I just don't like them. I said, well, if there's certain Kleenex that you like, we would be very happy to accommodate you. We would be but unfortunately, I said, this is going to be a write-up because this is a fairly obvious health concern. And this is, and by the way, this was a medical client, just going to throw that out there. And so this is even in a medical setting. So I said, okay, we will accommodate you in this way. We discussed a few other things that would be good for accommodation for that. I said, but this can never happen again. This is not a thing, and we just kind of went through it. He said, okay. And so we dealt with it and that was it. And we just handled it like, an accommodation, but it was the most awkward, like, who?
I mean, I have nothing on that one because, like you said, were there not tissues? Could you not have gone to the bathroom and then washed your hands? Like,
yeah, well, yeah. At least if you had to, if you had to do it, at least go walk. Like, why are you just wiping?
Wiping it on your workstation? Like, that's a problem.
Yeah, this is disgusting. Like, and I don't think he was doing it on other people's workstations, but still, like, people will touch things in the general work area. Like, he would do it on like a counter and so, like, ew, no, So we treated it like an accommodation thing. It was very hard to get through that meeting because honestly, all I wanted to say was, "You're not two. Like, cut it out, you guys." This is the hardest part of working with employee relations and HR. It is so hard to not just look at people and go, what is wrong with you? You are over the age of 6. Like, this should not be a thing that we're having to deal with. Please cut it out. But you can't say that.
No.
Even though you're fully justified in saying it, you cannot say these things. I think that's one of the hardest parts of the job.
Yeah, I would agree. Because there's a certain level of expectation that we all have in a society, right? That we, especially when you get to a certain age, that you have learned some general things for getting along in community. Yeah. And there are different expectations at home, at work. I had one that was a pretty difficult situation. I had a gentleman who said a lot of inappropriate things, wrote it off by being gay, so he couldn't be sexually harassing people, and things that he said weren't sexual harassment because he was gay, so it didn't count.
Wait. Did he think that like only men can sexually harass? Was that the deal? Or like straight men? Did he think that only straight men could sexually harass?
I think so. Yes, because what I witnessed was very much straight up sexual harassment. Nobody made a big deal about it. Everybody laughed it off. I was very uncomfortable with it, and I said in a moment of frustration, "Would you say that to your mother?" And he said, "Yes, I would."
That's a whole, you know what? Now we need to send him to therapy. This is now we need to dive into our benefits.
It's a whole other situation, but that took me aback, right? Because in my world, no one in my family would ever say something like that in front of parents or family, never to their mother. And in most of my friends' worlds and other people I would known in business would never have those kind of communications. But that doesn't mean people don't. And
that's right.
That's not their reality and their norm. And that became a moment where I was like, oh, this is educational time. Like this is, and it shouldn't have been. This was a 50-year-old man.
Right. But sometimes you do.
But no one had ever said to him, this is inappropriate, irrespective of your sexual orientation.
Yes.
Until me. And it was hard. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of arguing. There was a lot of accusing me of things. And I just had to stand my ground and talk it through. Right.
Right.
And it was a hard situation because when you are raised in a particular way, which may be different than the people around you, you don't necessarily see that there's anything wrong with what you're doing and saying.
Yes, I've run into that several times, and where I actually had to teach an adult about adulting.
Yeah.
Because nobody else ever had.
Yep. I had that situation with body odor once with an adult.
Oh, been there. Yep. I've had the body odor conversation. It was, it was not good. And I will say, like the BO conversation, I always feel kind of bad.
Yeah.
Because some people, they have different body chemistries and it's very hard for them to find deodorants that work well. Sometimes even if they do have on deodorant, it just doesn't work right. So sometimes you want to be very delicate with that situation because sometimes it's not something that they can really help and then you just need to figure something out. Yep. But you can't have the stinky kid at work. That's just, it's not the best situation. But again, be delicate, use your heart, maybe offer them an office, something like that. If it is medical, offer them an office, something like that. Also, sometimes I once found out that somebody was homeless.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
And then we put in other resources to help her because then we realized, oh, okay, this is an opportunity to help.
Right.
And this is, this is a chance. This is a chance. And I do want to say to you, I've had that happen with candidates where things popped up and I started realizing that they were probably homeless, but you can't really ask that.
Nope.
In fact, you can't ask. I mean, you can't ask that in the interview process.
Nope.
So I try to prompt things to get them to tell me because then if they do, then I can help. So I want to encourage anybody watching this. If you ever realize something like that's going on, come to your HR, or you even suspect, come to your HR people, let them do things to try to maybe help kind of just generally, because they'll know how to do it in a way that's appropriate and that's legal and all of those kind of fun things.
Right. It won't cause offense to a coworker or.
Right. Yeah. Let HR handle that kind of thing. So the last topic that I want to kind of cover, because this is just kind of one of my all-time just favorites of like, what in the heck are the interview people, like the different things that candidates do. And I have my top two, but I want to hear yours first. Let's hear it. Like when it comes to candidates, these are people trying to get jobs. Yeah. What are your top two? Like what is wrong with the moments?
Oh. God, That's hard because I actually don't know that I have had a ton of them in terms of like, because I have not done a ton of recruiting. I would say there was probably the one I can think of, really, that is the only one that like completely shocked me, was someone who we had been attempting to communicate with, who had been very lax in getting back to us, who we asked to do an assessment. They were given 3 days to do the assessment, didn't respond, and we wrote back and we're like, okay, you didn't complete the assessment in time, so we're going to cancel your application for this round. And especially because this particular role had a very short cycle, and we were hiring like 10 people start date for a class. And the email that came back was just F-bombs. Like, they just lost it on me, calling me names, like calling the company names, all of this stuff. And I was just like, literally, you did not respond to our requests. We were trying to give you a job. And then, cherry on the sundae, 2 months later, applies to another hiring class of ours.
Don't you kind of, though? Okay, whenever I see stuff like that, I think there's a mental health concern, because no person who is doing well mentally would do that. That's not a thing.
I'm in a tribe of F words, calling of names in an email. It wasn't even just like one. It was on multiple occasions.
I have invited people to interview to a job to which they applied, sometimes even replied to their email so they could even see. And they're like, F you. Okay. That's kind of weird, but all right. Even with rejections, like,
I get that.
I'm sorry. Like not everybody is going to get picked, and I never say ugly things. So like, dude, calm down. Like, what is wrong with you? But then, and I've had some crazy ones. So I'm going to tell you my two. Tell me what you would have done. Okay. So the first one, I think I've talked about on a couple of podcasts. So I had my group of recruiters were all kind of out on a floor. We were doing a big hire event at these little desks. And I look over at one of my people, and he is like glued to his computer screen and is like sweating. And I'm like, what is happening? And I kind of lean, and this woman has taken out her breasts and placed it on the desk as like in like a presentation kind of manner. I am guessing an attempt to try to get the job. I don't know. And this was a moment of weakness for me. I just started laughing so hard that I couldn't even deal with it. I couldn't even like be the one to go over and get her to stop it, because this image of him just doing this, trying so hard not to look, and her just sitting there so proud of this boob that was just out there. And this was not a young woman, by the way. This woman had to have been at least late 40s, like minimum. And so I actually got one of my other team members to go get her and immediately escort her out, because I literally couldn't do it. I was just laughing too hard. I was like, I am not the one to go over and do this.
This was in person?
This was in front of everyone. This was right in front of everyone. Just boob out. Just super proud of that boob.
I thought this was like on the video screen.
Jason goes, just one. Maybe that was her better one. Like, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Like, we all.
I don't know if I could have been the one. Either.
You see, like, I couldn't do it. I had to get somebody else. And just like, okay, you're gonna have to go do this. I was dying. dying. What would possess you? What would possess you to do this exactly?
I don't know. Wow, that is something else.
I love my husband because his very first response was, well, was it at least a good one? He was like, if this poor guy had to deal with this, was it at least? I was like, I don't know. I was just laughing so hard. It was so funny.
I don't know what I would have done. That is like, oh goodness gracious.
And by the way, I am one of those people that I firmly believe, like, if men can walk around topless at a beach, so can women. Like, I'm like, look, not everywhere in life, but just in the appropriate places.
No.
But at work,
right?
No.
Right. I mean, unless you're at a strip club.
Oh yeah, okay, that would have been different. Like if it's a strip club.
I'm topless at work. Women
yeah.
not topless at work either. It is again going back to the not appropriate in the office building.
And it was like, what happened? The other one, one of my other all-time favorites, true story. This is both of these happened in Miami, by the way, which should tell you something. So the other one, this was in an in-person interview, and I had passed him on already. This was the hiring manager. He did just fine with me. The hiring manager was messaging me like, we're going to hire this guy. He's amazing. Oh my gosh, you did so good. And then I get, hold off on that, ... And so I go walking down the hall when the guys left. And I said, okay, what happened? And the hiring manager's just sitting there like, what, like stunned. And he goes, well, he asked our PTO policy. I said, okay. And he goes, but this is how he asked it. He said, do I get at least 2 weeks off because I have to go to the Dominican to get hookers at least once a year? It relaxes me. Tara, I think he must have been related to your guy that brought the note for the porn at work because, like...
So my porn guy used to go to Thailand for 3 weeks a year.
Which is fine. Okay, I want to put this out there. I am not shaming you, but you don't say that in your interview.
Right.
And it's not anybody's business. That's back to the TMI. I tell people, be you, but not to you. All he had to ask was, tell me the PTO policy. That would have been the end of it.
Yeah, and even if he said, I'd like to know the PTO policy because I try to take a 2-week, a solid 2-week vacation every year so that I can relax. Like, you can still be, like, he still could have been clear that he was looking for a 2-week span of time at some point in a year without mentioning hookers in a foreign country.
Yeah, I didn't, it was like, and so that rejection was very interesting. That was it. He took it well, by the way. It did go well. But and their reason, just for the record, their reason for rejecting him was not what he did. It was, if he'll say something that inappropriate to us in an interview, what's he going to say to our clients?
Right.
Because this was a sales role. This was a forward-facing, talking to clients type role. That was actually the whole reason for rejection. They thought the hooker thing was funny. I mean, they would have just teased him and all that, but they were like, who says that?
In an interview.
Jesus. Right. Yeah, in an interview, especially.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say that's probably maybe my second one has to do with just sort of generic inappropriate things being said in interviews. It wasn't anything like really massively bad. But it was somebody who had been incarcerated for a long time.
Yeah.
And our company didn't have a problem in general with hiring people that had
good for them.
Not in the slightest. But this person had a violent felony and was looking to be a manager of staff members in person and was very open about it and had only been at a role for like 9 months and was like looking to move. And I will give my recruiter all the props in the universe for how she handled this because she was brilliant and spot on. And because again, he had offered it up because he knew it would pop on a background check, right? And
Right.
she said, look, that is a problem for our company. Violent offenders in office is one of our lines. Like, that is not something we can hire for. But if you found a company who saw that, who hired you, who is training you, who is giving you an opportunity, don't leave. Don't get
No.
out of there. Even though you might feel like you're not progressing fast enough, give them a shot because they've given you a shot. And I will say this.
Good advice.
Right? I know. I was like, I gave her so much kudos. I bought her lunch. I was like, girl, you did so good at that. And he messaged her back 9 months later to tell her that he had gotten promoted. Like,
yay.
Right? And it was just, she had come to me and she's like, this is what I told him. She's like, I don't know what else to do. And I said, you did fine. If he continues to pop up on the conversation, we can have another discussion. But I was so proud of her and proud of him, right? Like
oh gosh, yeah.
He had kind of done one of those things, like you don't really want to talk about these things.
Yeah. But he put it, but good for him.
It was a phone screen too. It wasn't even like a hiring manager interview. It was a phone screen. But yeah, good for him. And he took her advice and then called her back later to say, hey, I got this opportunity.
That's wonderful.
And he thanked her for her advice, and he thanked her for being willing to coach him in a phone interview. So it really
that's a great lesson.
Yeah.
That's a great lesson. Going that extra mile, being honest with people, talking to them a lot. I've had some of the best interactions I've had where we're doing that kind of thing. And we're way over time, but I had so much fun on this topic. We had to keep going. It's such a great topic. Thank you so much for joining us. Sabrina, tell everybody where they can find you and how they can connect with you.
Yeah, sure. So my website is sabrinaluisa.com, and you can reach me at sabrinaluisa.com, or here on LinkedIn. My messages are always open. I'm happy to connect with people.
She is, and she's always a delight to speak with, as you can imagine from this show. Thank you all so much for joining us. Same time, same place next week. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a happy Friday. Bye.
Bye, everyone.